Ayurvedic Mind Shift, from agitation, Rajas Tamas, to calm, Sattva. The Treasure Within podcast. Ever feel like your mind is a freeway during rush hour? Thoughts speeding past, stress building up like a traffic jam, and that sense of calm seems like a distant exit you just can't reach?
I think we all know that feeling, especially today. Our modern world throws so much at us, stimuli, pressures, expectations. But what if I told you there's an ancient treasure map, a wisdom thousands of years old, that can guide us out of that mental chaos and towards a deep, lasting sense of peace?
Welcome to The Treasure Within, the podcast where we explore ancient wisdom for modern living. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of Ayurveda to uncover the secret to the Sattvic mind, that state of clarity, tranquility, and emotional bliss. Our guide on this journey is the insightful work found in the book The Sattvic Mind, the Ayurvedic Secret to Mental Health and Emotional Bliss by the respected Ayurvedic teacher Mary Thompson.
Join us as we explore how Ayurveda, drawing inspiration from Mary Thompson's valuable teachings, understands the roots of our stress, anxiety, and mental clutter, and more importantly, the simple, practical tools it offers to bring balance back to our body, our breath, and ultimately, our mind. So, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's start discovering the treasure within.
Today, we're going deep, really deep, like into the depths of ancient wisdom. We're talking Ayurveda and this concept of the Sattvic mind. You ever feel like you just want some serious mental clarity?
Yeah.
Some deep inner peace, like a mental upgrade.
Absolutely. I think we all crave that.
Well, that's what this Sattvic state is all about. And the best part, this isn't some, impossible dream, like some far-off utopia.
Right.
Something you can actually cultivate.
Yeah.
So think of this deep dive as our little cheat sheet to a more balanced, resilient you, mentally that is. And no, you don't have to go full-on hermit to get there. No information overload here, just the good stuff.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like Ayurveda. This 5,000-year-old science that's still so relevant today.
Yeah, seriously. Like, talk about timeless wisdom.
It really takes this holistic view, connecting your physical health, your mental state, even spiritual well-being, all intertwined. And it really gets to the heart of what stresses us out today, in our modern world.
Totally. And in this deep dive, we're going to unlock that Sattvic state, that clarity, that calm, by tackling those pesky mental roadblocks, those imbalances that keep us from, inner peace.
In Ayurveda, we talk about these three main states of mind: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Rajas, that's that restless state. Think a million tabs open in your brain, always on, always buzzing, sound familiar?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Then there's Tamas, it's heavier, more lethargic, like your mental battery's drained and you're just stuck. And these states, they can actually be linked to imbalances in your dosha.
The doshas, right. So, quick reminder for our listeners, we're talking Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are like your unique mind-body constitutions.
Exactly, we'll get into that a bit more as we go.
Okay, so, mission of this deep dive. We're uncovering the Ayurvedic secrets to boost that Sattva within you. That means exploring harmony in your body, your breath, your mind. The whole package.
Because they're all connected, right? Right. And that's a big deal. Think about it. So many people are struggling with anxiety, with depression. Ayurveda gives us this amazing framework to see these issues, not just as isolated mental things, but as signs of deeper imbalances in your whole system.
I like that, a whole system approach.
And the cool thing is, with some simple but powerful Ayurvedic practices, you can address these root causes and actually find, real clarity and lasting contentment.
I'm sold. So, where do we even start? How does Ayurveda view mental well-being in general?
Well, it's a little different from, say, the typical Western psychology approach. Ayurveda's definition of health is really fascinating. There's this ancient text, the Sushruta, that says true health is about having a strong sense of self and complete peace of mind.
Okay, so it's not just about, not being physically sick.
Exactly. It goes way deeper. It's about that inner peace. Anything less, Ayurveda sees that as an imbalance. And here's the kicker. Your mental and emotional state directly impacts your physical health.
Wow, that's powerful. So while Western approaches might focus on brain chemistry, what does Ayurveda say about, like, the deeper roots of our mental habits?
Ayurveda, along with yogic psychology, recognizes how past experiences, like all that conditioning, shapes our mental patterns. These patterns, they get ingrained and then they express themselves through our doshas. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha, they play a huge role in our mental tendencies.
So it's not just about what's happening right now, but also all that baggage from the past.
Precisely. It's a much bigger picture.
Okay, so how does Ayurveda see our everyday happiness? Like, in this moment, right now.
Ayurveda says your happiness depends on how your mind interprets things, right now, in the present. And, the mind is tricky. It works on two levels, conscious and unconscious.
Like an iceberg.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So if you can shine a light on those unconscious patterns, those automatic reactions, that's where the power comes in. Because then you can choose differently.
Ah, I see. Awareness is key. So how do we even start noticing these unconscious mental states, the ones that are messing with our balance?
Self-awareness, that's your starting point. Practices like silent observation, just being still, noticing your thoughts. What are the recurring themes? Is it worry, anger, sadness?
So basically just paying attention.
Exactly.
And are these thought patterns linked to the doshas?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Vata imbalance in the mind, that often shows up as fear, worry, anxiety, Pitta out of whack. You might experience a lot of self-criticism, anger, judgment. And with Kapha imbalance, there's this tendency to get stuck in the past, maybe a lot of grief or heaviness.
Okay, so it's got the imbalances down. Now let's talk about that ideal state, the Sattvic mind. What does that actually look like, feel like?
The Sattvic mind is balanced, it's healthy, it's clear, it operates from that higher intellect. You're able to make wise decisions, focus your attention, and you have this clear sense of discernment.
So like, you're not just reacting all the time.
Right, you're in control. Like imagine a parent guiding a toddler. Gentle but firm. That's the Sattvic mind. Directing attention where it needs to go, whether that's on a task, on taking care of yourself, or just appreciating the moment. It's effortless focus and inner peace.
Sign me up. All right, now for the flip side. The Rajasic mind. You said it's restless. Can you give us a real-life example?
Imagine a pond with ripples, constantly disturbed. That's the Rajasic mind. It's always thinking, replaying the past, justifying feelings, worrying about the future. Always on, never settled.
So you're aware you're doing this, but you can't stop.
Often, yeah. There's a self-awareness, but there's also this feeling of, like, being powerless to stop the mental chatter. You know it's not productive, but you're stuck.
And how do the doshas play into this?
Well, a Rajasic Vata mind might be consumed with worry, trying to control everything, change the past, or predict the future. A Rajasic Pitta mind, that could be a lot of anger, frustration, things not going according to plan. And Rajasic Kapha, they might seek constant stimulation, anything to avoid boredom or cling to those familiar, comfortable habits.
Okay, now on to Tamas. This one you described as more inactive. How does that show up for someone?
Tamas is all about inertia, a lack of clarity. It's like reacting on autopilot based on old programming. There's a resistance to anything new, anything that challenges your beliefs. And unlike Rajas, where you're aware of the distractions, Tamas, you're often oblivious to the lack of clarity, so it's harder to control.
And you brought up the toddler analogy again. This time they're really attached to one object. What's the connection?
Think of a toddler who's fixated on a specific toy. They need it. It's their world. If they lose it, they're devastated. They might blame everyone or withdraw, just consumed by grief. That's the Tamasic mind. It's stuck, resistant to change.
So it's about that rigid attachment.
Yep.
Okay, and the doshas. How do they fit in with the Tamasic state?
A Tamasic Vata mind, they might experience this deep despair, a feeling of helplessness. Their energy goes into escaping the present through distractions or isolation. A Tamasic Pitta mind, that could be resentment, being stuck in negative reactions, judgments. And with Tamasic Kapha, there's this intense attachment to past losses, leading to stagnation, emotional immobility, just feeling weighed down.
These are some pretty vivid descriptions. Now, the text mentions crimes against wisdom. What are those exactly?
Okay, so think about this. We often do things that we know aren't good for us.
Oh yeah, all the time.
That's what Ayurveda calls unwholesome conjunction of the senses. It's when we chase pleasure, instant gratification, even though we know it's not really good for us in the long run. This constant sensory overload just feeds this craving for more. And we end up dissatisfied, anxious, angry, sad.
Can you give us some everyday examples of these crimes?
Sure. Think about those times when you eat something you know you shouldn't just because it makes you feel good in that moment. Or endlessly scrolling through social media even though it leaves you feeling worse. Or maybe it's blasting loud music, watching violent movies, just constant digital input. We know it's not good, but we do it anyway.
So it's like we're knowingly sabotaging ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much. And it often comes down to those three pillars of health in Ayurveda: food, sleep, and how we use our energy. We make bad food choices, we have terrible sleep schedules, we push ourselves too hard, and we know it's not good. The key is to figure out why we do it. What's the benefit, so to speak? Maybe overeating provides comfort, a distraction from stress. Once you understand that need, you can find healthier ways to meet it.
It's a really good point. Okay, so enough with the doom and gloom. Let's talk solutions. How do we actually cultivate that Sattvic mind? What does Ayurveda recommend?
Ayurveda's approach is all about pacification. It's a commitment to taking care of yourself consistently, and it all starts with the body.
So mind and body are totally connected.
100%. In Ayurveda, we have these different layers of being. The causal body, that's your pure potential. Then there's the subtle body, which includes your mind and emotions. And then there's the physical body.
Like a Russian nesting doll.
Yeah, kind of. So when your physical body is balanced, it creates the solid foundation for a calm mind. And a calm mind allows you to connect to that inner essence, that source of sattva. But if your body's out of whack, your mind's going to be foggy, agitated. You can't really find mental clarity if you're in physical pain or feeling sick.
Makes sense. So what are the key areas to focus on for balancing the body?
Ayurveda has three main pillars for physical health. Ahara, which is all about food and how you eat it. Nidra, which is healthy sleep. And brahmacharya, which is often misunderstood as just celibacy, but it's really about using your energy wisely, including your senses and your sexual energy. And then, of course, there's dinacharya.
Dinacharya.
Daily routines. And adapting your self-care to the seasons. It's all about living in sync with nature.
Okay, so food, sleep, energy, routines. Got it. Now, where does breath fit into all of this? Body, mind, that whole connection.
Breath is the bridge. It connects your physical body to your mind. When you're in pain or feeling strong emotions, your breath gets all shallow and rapid.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Right. But when you consciously calm your breath, it directly calms the mind. It's like when we feel strong emotions, we tend to hold our breath, and that traps the emotions. So by breathing deeply, you release that tension.
So breathe deep, calm the mind. Got it. Let's get practical. What are some things our listeners can actually do to bring more balance to their body, breath, and mind?
Okay, so let's start with ahara, food. A huge part of this is how we eat, mindful eating. It's estimated that like 90% of digestive issues could be solved just by changing our eating habits.
90%?
Yeah. When you eat mindfully, you're present, you're focused, your nervous system and your digestive system are in sync. But when you're distracted, watching TV, working, that connection gets messed up and your body can't digest properly.
So put down the phone, step away from the computer.
Exactly. And savor your food. Take a moment to appreciate it. Notice the colors, the smells, the textures. Eat at regular times. And most importantly, be present. Minimize distractions. Ayurveda even says it's better to eat something not so healthy mindfully than to eat something super healthy while distracted. Because when you're mindful, you can really tell how the food makes you feel.
That makes sense. So it's not just about what you eat, but how you eat it. Okay, what about balancing the body through our senses? We talked about unwholesome conjunction, so what's the good kind?
The good kind is wholesome conjunction. Your senses, they feed your body, mind, and nervous system. So you gotta be picky about what you let in. Sound. Think calming nature sounds versus those jarring notifications. Touch. Seek out calming touch and avoid anything that feels harsh. Sight. Limit screen time. Be mindful of the images you expose yourself to, even the colors in your environment. Taste. Aim for balance. All 6 tastes. Sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, astringent. And smell. Yeah, even smell can affect your mood.
So it's all about creating a sensory environment that supports you.
Precisely. It's about being intentional.
All right, on to Nidra. Sleep. We know it's important, but what's the Ayurvedic take on getting the best sleep for a Sattvic mind?
Ayurveda sees sleep as super important. And the ideal amount? Well, it can depend on your dosha. Vata types usually need the most, 8 hours or more. Pitta, about 7 to 8. Kapha, they might do well with a little less, but the key is how you feel when you wake up. Refreshed, energized, no need for caffeine. That's good sleep.
So quality over quantity to some extent. What are some tips for better sleep, Ayurveda style?
Consistency is key. Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time every day, even on weekends. Wind down before bed, dim the lights, ditch the electronics, maybe take a bath, read a book. Create a calming bedtime ritual. And make sure your bedroom is dark, cool, and quiet. No distractions. And once you're in bed, try focusing on your breath or do a guided meditation. There are even techniques like progressive muscle relaxation.
So create a sleep sanctuary, basically.
Exactly.
Now, you talk about brahmacharya as the wise use of energy. What does that look like in everyday life?
Brahmacharya goes beyond just, sex. It's about managing your life force energy, your prana. And yes, sex does take energy, physical and mental. But brahmacharya is also about being mindful of the mental and emotional energy we spend on our desires, especially around sex. Our world's so saturated with sexual imagery, and that can lead to a cycle of stimulation and craving that drains us. So brahmacharya is about healthy relationships, not driven by lust. It's about knowing your limits, not pushing yourself when you're depleted, and making sure your desires aren't coming from a place of neediness or insecurity.
It's about being mindful of where your energy is going.
Exactly.
How does this energy management play into our daily activities, our routines?
Well, if you're all over the place with your routines, you're going to feel scattered, exhausted. Same if you're constantly chasing external goals and neglecting your own needs. And if you're stuck in old habits, resistant to change, that creates stagnation. It's all about being present, aware of what you need, and then meeting those needs in a balanced way. Having some routines is good, especially around meals, sleep, and how your day flows. But don't be rigid, be flexible, listen to your body. Ayurveda suggests the biggest meal at midday when your digestion's strongest. Bedtime around 10 p.m., waking up with or around sunrise. But again, adjust it to your dosha. And exercise is key. Do something you enjoy every day. Stretching, cardio, strength training, just don't overdo it. And remember to breathe through your nose. Yoga's great because it combines all three.
So lots of good advice there.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the breath. Pranayama.
Right, pranayama. It literally means extension or restraint of prana, that life force energy. So basic pranayama can be just noticing your breath and lengthening the exhale, which is naturally calming. There's also anuloma viloma.
Anuloma viloma.
Alternate nostril breathing. It helps balance your energy, harmonize your brain.
Yeah.
And a really simple technique is to just focus on your heartbeat. That brings you into the present moment. Great for calming Vata anxiety.
So breathe and find your center.
Exactly.
All right, we've covered the body and breath. Now, how do we balance the mind itself?
The mind, it's best to tackle it after you've addressed the body and breath. Once those are in a good place, then you can use tools to understand your mind, those unconscious patterns. Two great practices are stream of consciousness journaling, where you just write whatever comes up, no judgment, and talking to trusted friends, people who can give you an honest perspective. They can help you see your blind spots.
So get it all out and then get some feedback.
Exactly. And once you see those negative thought patterns, you have to interrupt them.
Break the cycle.
Yes. Each time you notice that negativity, stop it. Redirect your focus. Say you're worrying about the future. Bring yourself back to the present moment. What can you control right now? It's about training your mind to be more positive.
I like that. And finally, meditation. What's its role in all of this?
Meditation is key for quieting the mind. There are different kinds. Mantra meditation, where you use a sound or word. Insight meditation, which is more about self-inquiry. And mindfulness meditation, which is all about being present, non-judgmentally. If you're new to it, guided meditations are a great place to start, especially for Vata and Pitta minds. The key is to find what works for you and to practice regularly. Even just a few minutes a day makes a difference.
So find your practice and stick with it. All right, now let's talk about balancing those specific doshic imbalances. We talked about the Vata mind with all the fear and worry. What can someone with this imbalance do to find more peace?
For Vata, it's all about grounding, creating routines, regular meals, regular sleep. The food should be warm, nourishing, cooked, lots of healthy fats and protein to stabilize that energy. Fresh, whole, organic foods are best. And go for those sweet, sour, and salty tastes, warming spices. With your senses, create a calming environment. Quiet, soft lighting, comfortable textures. Sleep is huge for Vata. 8 hours or more is ideal. And gentle exercise is best. Walking, yoga, tai chi. For the breath, try slow, deep breathing. And for the mind, it's about observing those thoughts without judgment. When you feel fear, replace it with trust. Ground yourself in the present moment and keep coming back to your breath. Calming herbs like chamomile and lemon balm can also be helpful, but always check with your doctor first.
So it's all about creating that sense of stability.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the Pitta mind? With all the intensity, anger, frustration, how do we cool that down?
Pitta is all about cooling, calming. So the food should be cooling. Bitter greens, cucumbers, melons, non-fermented dairy. Avoid anything spicy, acidic, or fried. Drink lots of water, coconut water, mint tea. Sensory-wise, go for cooling things. Spend time in nature, wear natural fabrics, use cooling scents like sandalwood or rose. Exercise should be moderate, non-competitive. Swimming, leisurely walks. And there are cooling breath techniques like Shitali. For the mind, notice those judgments, but don't engage. Cultivate compassion, forgiveness, both for yourself and others. Remember, Pitta has that natural drive to achieve, so channel that into constructive action instead of getting angry when things don't go your way. Affirmations can be helpful here, like repeating phrases of patience and understanding. And gratitude practice, cooling herbs like Brahmi or Gutu-kola can also help, but again, talk to a practitioner.
So it's about finding that inner chill.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, Kapha, the lethargy, the attachment, the resistance to change. What's the approach here?
Kapha needs lightness, stimulation, movement. So go for light, warm, and spicy foods. Favor those pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes. Avoid heavy, oily, and sweet foods. Drink hot water with ginger or stimulating teas. Make sure you're not oversleeping, and get moving. Exercise should be vigorous, something that makes you sweat. Stimulating sights and smells are good, and dry brushing can be invigorating. For the breath, try more active practices that get your breath moving, like Pastrika, but be careful with that one. For the mind, notice that attachment to the past, that resistance to change. Replace those feelings with gratitude for the present. Do things that challenge you mentally. Learn new things. Have stimulating conversations. Try active meditations. And stimulating herbs like ginger, cinnamon, or clove can be helpful, in moderation, of course. Helping others can also be really uplifting for Kapha.
So it's about shaking things up, getting that energy flowing.
Exactly.
You talked a bit about specific issues like depression and anger management. What's Ayurveda's take on those?
Ayurveda always looks at the root cause, not just the symptoms. So with depression, there are different patterns. If it's linked to anxiety, you might use Vata pacifying techniques. If it's more about lethargy, then Kapha balancing. And if it's triggered by a specific event, you look at the dominant emotions. Fear and anxiety, that's Vata. Sadness, grief, Kapha. Anger, resentment, Pitta. Anger management is a big one for Pitta.
Yeah.
And Ayurveda distinguishes between righteous anger, which can be motivating, and that habitual destructive rage. So for anger, it's all about cooling the body, breath, and mind.
Okay, what about ADHD and just general stress?
ADHD often presents with that restlessness, trouble focusing. Ayurveda might see that as Pitta with a Vata imbalance, so calming Vata is key. Lots of time in nature, grounding routines, and yogic meditation for focus. For stress, it's all about building resilience, having those self-care routines, especially before and after stressful events, like buffering yourself from the impact.
To take care of yourself, basically.
Yes.
All right, for our listeners who are ready to take action, what are some general strategies for boosting mental well-being the Ayurvedic way? So, we've journeyed through the Ayurvedic understanding of the mind, exploring the calm clarity of the Sattvic state and contrasting it with the turbulence of Rajas and the heaviness of Tamas.
Exactly. And we've seen how these states connect to our unique dosha balance, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and how imbalances can manifest as fear, anger, or attachment. We touched upon the powerful Ayurvedic toolkit, balancing the body through diet, sleep, and managing our senses, calming the breath through awareness and pranayama, and observing the mind non-judgmentally. Much of this profound understanding comes directly from the comprehensive guide, The Sattvic Mind by Thompson.
But listening to all this, a very natural question arises for many of us. Okay, this sounds great, but how do I actually integrate this into my already busy modern life? Where do I even begin? It can feel like a lot.
It absolutely can, and the key, which Ayurveda beautifully emphasizes, is that this isn't about a massive overhaul overnight. It's about small, consistent, sustainable shifts. This isn't a sprint, it's a conscious journey back to ourselves.
Let's break down some practical ways to weave these principles into daily life. The very first step, as we discussed, is non-judgmental self-awareness. Just start noticing. Where does your mind tend to wander? What emotions dominate? What patterns repeat? Don't criticize, just observe, like becoming a gentle detective of your own inner world.
And then, start small. Please don't try to change everything at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Pick one small thing that resonates most. something that feels achievable. Maybe it's going to bed just 10 minutes earlier tonight, putting your phone away during one meal today, taking just 3 conscious breaths when you feel stressed, choosing one snack based on what might pacify your dominant dosha instead of grabbing whatever's convenient.
And the magic ingredient is consistency. 5 minutes of daily meditation has a far greater impact than an hour once a month. These small actions are like drops of water. Over time, they carve new pathways in the stone of our habits. Be patient with yourself.
Another real-world challenge is inner resistance or simply forgetting. It happens. Old patterns are strong. This is where self-compassion is crucial. If you skip a day of your practice, don't beat yourself up. Gently guide yourself back. Every single moment is a new opportunity to begin again.
It's also vital to remember this path is deeply personal. What brings balance to a Vata dominant person might need tweaking for someone with more Pitta or Kapha. That's why understanding your unique constitution, your Prakriti, is so fundamental in Ayurveda. Listening to your body, your mind, is the ultimate guide.
Let's talk about realistic expectations too. The goal isn't to reach some state of permanent blissful perfection where nothing ever bothers you. Life happens. The goal is to build the inner tools, the awareness and resilience to navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with more grace. The Sattvic mind isn't about detachment from reality, it's about having the clarity, calm, and inner strength to engage with reality fully.
You know, one of the most beautiful side effects of this journey is the deepening connection with ourselves. When we start paying attention, really paying attention to our bodies, our breath, our thoughts, it's like rediscovering a long-lost friend. That deep listening itself is incredibly grounding and reassuring.
And that self-knowledge is true power, isn't it? When we understand our unconscious patterns, we're no longer controlled by them. We gain the power of choice. We can consciously decide how to respond instead of just reacting out of habit. That's real freedom from limiting mental conditioning.
So, our final thought today is this. The journey towards a Sattvic mind, towards greater mental and emotional well-being, might have its challenges, but it is profoundly worthwhile and entirely possible. It's not just about reducing stress, it's about unlocking your full potential, experiencing greater clarity, deeper joy, and a genuine sense of connection to yourself and the world around you.
This ancient Ayurvedic wisdom, so clearly articulated in Mary Thompson's The Sattvic Mind, is like a treasure map we all have access to. The first step is simply unfolding it with curiosity and kindness towards ourselves. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to begin. We truly appreciate the depth of knowledge Mary Thompson shares in her work, making these ancient concepts accessible for modern life.
We truly hope this conversation has sparked something within you, offering inspiration and practical tools for your own journey.
Thank you so much for joining us today on The Treasure Within. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of Ayurvedic wisdom for mental clarity and peace.
Remember, the real treasure lies within you, and the tools to uncover it are available. If you'd like to delve deeper, we highly recommend checking out the source of today's inspiration, The Sattvic Mind by Mary Thompson. And if you found this valuable and want to hear more about applying ancient wisdom to modern life, please subscribe to our channel, The Treasure Within, here on YouTube.
And don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the episode, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our future explorations. Your feedback means the world to us, so please leave a comment below, let us know what resonated or what topics you'd love for us to cover next.
Until our next journey together seeking the treasure within, take good care of yourself and your beautiful mind.
Farewell for now.
Have you ever had that feeling, that sense that there's a hidden strength, a talent, maybe even a better version of yourself tucked away inside, just waiting for the right spark to awaken it? Something you might not even have fully discovered yet? Well, our next episode dives right into the heart of that feeling. We're stepping into the incredible world of the novella The Sumo Wrestler Who Could Not Grow Fat by Eric Emanuel Schmidt, following the story of a young boy named Yun. Imagine a skinny boy, lost on the bustling streets of Tokyo, deeply convinced he's worthless. Until one day, a mysterious elderly sumo master approaches him and ignites something within him with one simple sentence: "I see a great man in you." We won't just be recounting Yun's unbelievable transformation. We'll be going deeper, looking through the lens of psychology to explore how words, beliefs, and our choices can completely reshape our life's path. How is it possible to move from feeling worthless to finding self-belief? It's a truly inspiring story about discovering inner strength, right when you think there's no chance left. So be sure to tune in for our next episode, The Sumo Wrestler Who Couldn't Grow Fat, unlocking inner strength right here on The Treasure Within. I can't wait to share this powerful story with you.
Stop.